Welcome back to 1834. This is the first game of the sixth match of the first unofficial World Chess Championship. Bourdonnais is winning 4-1 in matches, but McDonnell up there in the shades is undeterred and he's going to fight hard to the bitter end. Today's guest commentator is Speedy Gonzalez, the fastest mouse in all Mexico. Bourdonnais begins with e4, we have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, bishop to c5, and once more Bourdonnais goes for the Evans Gambit. And everybody knows that all gentlemen must accept a gambit, and McDonnell decline. No, I'm just kidding. He, of course, accepts. He is a gentleman. c3, chasing the bishop back. It goes back to a5, and Bourdonnais takes the time to castle. We have d6, letting the light square bishop out, and d4 in the center, leading to a pawn exchange. And here McDonnell tucks his bishop back into b6, lining up against Bourdonnais' king. We have bishop to b2 and knight to f6. Now, up to this point, all the moves have been exactly the same as in match 5, game number 11. In that game, Bourdonnais played e5 and McDonnell won after 42 moves. So this time, Bourdonnais tries d5. This is attacking the knight, so the knight comes out to a5 and attacks the bishop, which retreats to d3. McDonnell also takes the time to castle, and both players have castled kingside here, and Bourdonnais continues to rapidly develop. Speedy approves of this. He also approves of McDonnell rapidly developing. Bishop to g4, attacking the knight, so Bourdonnais plays h3, asks the bishop what it wants to do. Does it want to capture the knight or go back to h5? McDonnell retreats to h5, and here Bourdonnais is slightly wary of the bishop pressing down on the king here, so he moves the king out of the way to h1. Perhaps c6 would be good here for McDonnell, but again he wants to continue his development and brings his queen out to d7, which is fine. Bourdonnais here does a slightly strange move, king to h2. Maybe he's trying to press forward on the king's side and start an attack, but McDonnell just again brings his rook out to e1, continuing to sort of join his rooks up and bring some power towards the center of the board. Now, if McDonnell were playing as white instead of black, you would expect him here to start pushing his kingside pawns and a bit rashly exposing his own king a little bit too much. Perhaps a good move for Bourdonnais would be simply to complete his development with queen to c7, but instead he decides to imitate McDonnell and pushes g4. And the problem with this is that it allows McDonnell to activate beast mode. Let's go. McDonnell immediately sacrifices his knight. The pawn captures it, and here comes the queen. There are now two pieces lining up against the knight, so Bourdonnais moves to defend, but the queen just gives a check here on the king, so Bourdonnais has to retreat, and the bishop captures the knight. The bishop captures back. Of course, the queen doesn't capture the bishop here because you'll just lose the queen. Now, what is the result of all these captures? Well, McDonnell is 3 pawns up, but he's missing a knight. Speedy approves. He likes a good fast game. Note also that Bourdonnais' king is looking super exposed here with no pieces in front of it to help defend it. What does McDonnell do? Well, he wants to attack as quickly as possible. He pushes f5. He's looking to bring the rook up and over to attack the king this way. Bourdonnais brings his bishop back to try to get a piece in front of the king to help defend, but McDonnell is just getting stronger. He brings the rook up as planned. Queen to d3, again trying to bring some pieces to bear for the defense, but it's too slow to prevent the check. Here comes the rook. What does Bourdonnais do? Well, he blocks with the bishop. The queen is in place to protect the bishop here, but McDonnell just captures the pawn here, and now the queen is under attack. The knight captures the pawn back, but McDonnell doesn't care. He's just pushing as hard and as fast as possible. He captures with the rook. Now for Bourdonnais, perhaps trying to bring the rook across to e1 to help here would hold Speedy McDonnell off just a little bit longer, but he doesn't play this. He attempts a skewer instead, lining up his bishop through the queen and the rook, but McDonnell just laughs in his face and blocks with the rook. So what's the idea here? Well, the rook is now blocking the queen's defense of the bishop, so this attack is looking very mean indeed. It's also attacking the queen. If you don't deal with this rook, for example, if you push a3, some random move, then the rook is capturing the bishop with check, and after the king moves, the queen is coming in for a very, very fast checkmate. Arriba, underlay. So, if you're going to have to deal with this, you're going to have to get rid of the rook somehow. How are you going to do that? Well, 3 pieces could possibly take here. If you capture with the pawn, then again, this pawn is blocking the defense of the bishop, and you're going to get very, very quickly checkmated in a very similar way. If instead you capture with the queen, well, you're just going to lose your queen, and it's again going to be checkmate. Not quite so quickly, but quickly enough. So what does Le Bourdonnais do in this position? He decides to capture with the bishop, and again, this is blocking the defense of the white bishop, so the rook comes in for a check and the king moves to g2, and sadly for Le Bourdonnais, that's it. Queen to h2 checkmate, and the game is over. Speedy heartily approves. McDonnell takes an early lead in this 6th match. Well done to him, and bad luck to Le Bourdonnais. That was the fastest checkmate in all of the games in all of these matches, so I was very excited to see that. I will see you again next time.